Welcome back Inside Sports Beat. I'm your host, Max Sacco. We're in our football discussion now. I'm joined by my wonderful panelists, Rownin and Sam Yarnell. Guys, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
So, first question, let's just get right off the bat here. We've all had a couple weeks of football to watch now. What teams or team has disappointed you the most so far, and you just can't watch them?
For me, Max, it's got to be the Minnesota Vikings. They just can't seem to get their passing offense going. They're last in the league in receiving yards, and they also only have 2 receiving touchdowns this whole season. I can't stand to watch the Minnesota Vikings, especially when they pass the ball. They've got to find a true number 2 to match up with Adam Thielen. Losing Stephon Diggs just hurt their team too much.
Speaking of receivers and losing receivers, I got to say my biggest disappointment for team this year has to be the Saints. They lost Michael Thomas for week 2, and their offensive game was completely thrown for a loop. They lost to the Raiders, who they should have won against in their home stadium. It would have been amazing, but they threw it. I really thought they were playoff contenders for this year, but after seeing that game, I don't know if they have it in them anymore, and I don't know. We just have to see if they even have a Super Bowl shot.
You know, I agree with you both there. I think you both bring very valid points to the table right now, but you are completely overlooking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, they are 1-1. Yes, they did get a win technically, but it was not pretty. It was not a good win. What Tom Brady is doing right now is looking like Peyton Manning with the Broncos. He's severe decline. He's outside of Foxborough now in a system he's known for 20-plus years. He looks cooked. Rob Gronkowski doesn't look good. The rest of this super team doesn't look good. Tampa Bay, for all the hype they had, is not living up to it, and I don't see them living up to it for the rest of this season. And now, let's continue the hype train. We're going to go into Cincinnati now. Joe Burrow, consensus number 1 pick. Great quarterback. He's looked okay, I think, through these first 2 weeks. Can the Bengals make the playoffs, or do they still need another piece or two before they can make that jump?
So I think they need another piece or two. They really don't have a deep threat at receiver right now. You know, you look at their stats, they've only had one passing play of more than 20 yards this whole season. It was a 23-yard reception. Burrow also, he's frankly not accurate enough. He's the 10th worst quarterback in terms of accuracy in the league. And then you look at the AFC North, a division with the Ravens and the Steelers. I can't see the Bengals competing this year.
I have to completely agree with Sam on this one. The Bengals, I don't think they're going to be able to compete this year. Let's start off with Joe Burrow. Like Sam said, he was good in college. I don't think he's going to be good in the NFL. Maybe with a couple more years, but only time will tell. The biggest flaw with the Cincinnati Bengals right now, which I think they need to improve on, is their offensive line. Joe Mixon can't run the ball. Joe Burrow doesn't have enough time to pass in the pocket. It's just ridiculous. You look at even the training camp footage, and Joe Burrow is just getting, like, the offensive line cannot block even the scout team. And also to go off of that, A.J. Green, I don't think is as good of a receiver. Even John Ross, I don't think either of them are as good as anyone says they are.
There is no love in this place for the Cincinnati Bengals. You guys have no love. Bengals have the pieces they want. First off, you saying Joe Burrow's not going to be a good NFL quarterback amazes me, because I think Joe Burrow has shown flashes. I think he's looked great. You look at their 2 losses, a loss to the Browns that could have almost been prevented. Joe Burrow's still maturing as a quarterback. And a loss to the Chargers that really came down to your quarterback, quote-unquote, pulled a muscle, and now we don't know what's going on with that situation. They have the pieces in Cincinnati. The offensive pieces are there. If you tune that lineup and you let Joe Burrow mature over a year, you give him another couple games under his belt, he will get a win in the next 2 weeks. Whether it's 1-3 or 2-2, there will be a win in this next couple weeks. Joe Burrow is the guy for Cincinnati. There are pieces there. It's time to have those pieces mature and build up, and you could see a threat in Cincinnati. But let's go from bad to great. Kansas City, world beaters, dominators of the galaxy. You name it, there's an adjective to describe them from last season. This offseason, they re-sign a bunch of key pieces again. Is Kansas City going to repeat as Super Bowl champions, or could we be expecting a different title contender?
I think this year is their best chance to repeat it as Super Bowl champions. Max, you just mentioned it. They're returning 84.7% of their snaps from last year. That means 84.7% of the personnel that were on the field in that 2019 championship season are going to be in there on their roster again this year. That's almost unstoppable. You look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their rookie running back, 7th in the league in rushing. I really like the Chiefs. I think they're poised to make another deep run.
See, I agree. The Chiefs, this is their best chance at repeating as the Super Bowl champs. However, while they may make the Super Bowl, I think the NFC is going to take it with the Seattle Seahawks. You look at Seattle, they have the receivers. They got DK Metcalf, they got Tyler Lockett, they even got David Moore. Lockett and Metcalf are so different that secondaries are struggling on figuring out which quarterback or safety has to cover them. And then you look at even the running back, Chris Carson. Chris Carson, he's up and coming. He's a very underrated running back. He just doesn't have the rushing yards yet, but give him a couple more years and I can see him being a big threat in the NFL.
I completely disagree with you. I think Sam has hit the nail on the head right here. You look at that Kansas team. Not only do they re-sign their main core, they also adjust the budget where they can bring in more players if they want to. The biggest thing I saw from them is that they were able to play with the money enough that they could keep all their pieces. They could get Patrick Mahomes on this monster contract in a good way. They have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's looked amazing. So not only do you have a great team, you have a strong running back as well now with this team that had a great one last year. Kansas City is built to compete for the next, I'd say 10 years even, because of that Mahomes contract. 10 years of that team. They're easily going to win the Super Bowl again. I think it'll be against Seattle, but I think Seattle's not a threat. I think Seattle's look good. I'm waiting for when they have their average season slump every year where they kind of just fall down a bit, and we'll see what happens. But Kansas City, easily the top pick for my team of the year here. And now, guys, obviously we're all wearing masks. We know COVID is a threat. We know this is a huge problem across the world still. Quick yes or no here, maybe a quick reason too. Is the NFL going to maybe go into a situation like we had in the MLB where a team has to stop playing all of a sudden for a week or two, or where we just have to pause the league to let COVID kind of calm down a bit and get tests under control?
I say yes. I think letting fans into the stadiums isn't a great decision. We saw that, at the very start of the season with the Kansas City game when Arrowhead let fans in. I really don't like that. I think that we are going to have some sort of COVID catching in the NFL this year.
See, I disagree with that. We may have a player or two getting COVID, but those players are getting tested every day of the week before every single practice. It is very hard that the whole team will get the coronavirus. If anything, only one player, and they'll just have to quarantine on their own for a couple weeks.
Well, we're 0 for 2 with me tonight. I'm going to have to put you down. I'm agreeing with Sam again here. Here's the problem. You have 5, 6 markets where they're allowing fans. You let a fan in who lies, gets in the come, and they're sick. That cough goes down to the field. You catch somebody on the field. Next thing you know, an entire team is down. It won't be the league. It'll be a team, and that team is going to be one of the teams that allowed fans into the stadium. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our football segment. Thank you very much to my panelists, Sam and Connor. But stick around because there's more Sports Beat right around the corner.